Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Some Maynilad customers are complaining about water interruptions this dry season. The water concessionaire says this is being done to ensure equal supply to all service areas. Shaila Francisco with the story.
In Pag-asa's 5-day forecast, heat index in Metro Manila may go as high as 39.5 degrees Celsius until Friday. The public is advised to observe extreme caution as heat cramps and heat exhaustion or worse, heat stroke are possible. Some Maynilad customers in Muntinlupa are complaining about the untimely water interruption. For one, Jennifer does her laundry only once a week now as they have limited water supply for over 8 hours every day. She also stores water whenever supply is available so she doesn't suffer from any heat-related illnesses.
Sa panahon natin sobrang init, di ba? So kami mga may edad, kailangan talaga na may tubig kasi kailangan maligo everyday, ganyan, twice a day. So yung mga elder natin, syempre may mga sakit na yan tulad ng high blood. Usually nagiging cause ng is stroke.
Even businesses like laundry shops are affected.
Minsan lang po ma'am, nade-delay na isang araw. Yung alam kong kilala kong customer na kaya kong pag-uusapan, yun po ang medyo ibibitin ko ang labahan. Kagaya ngayon po, naubos na, may na lang po, 1/4 sa drum.
Customers are hoping Maynilad can limit interruption at night and inform them ahead of time if there are changes in the schedule. The West Zone Water Concessionaire is currently implementing daily water service interruption until May 15 to over 439,000 customers in Parañaque and Muntinlupa. In a statement, Maynilad said a part of its Potatan Water Treatment Plant 2 needs to undergo intensive chemical cleaning. This comes as turbid water caused by silt from Laguna Lake affected the quality of water entering the plant. The company adds that the water interruption ensures that all affected customers can still have water supply in a day. Aside from water supply issues in the south, some 250,000 customers in other parts of NCR are experiencing water interruption due to high demand in its Pagbag Reservoir. MWSS earlier granted Maynilad an additional 30 million liters per day on top of the regular allocation of Maynilad from Angat Dam releases to meet the increase in demand. For its part, the National Water Resources Board said that the current allocation of 48 cubic meters per second from Angat Dam to MWSS is enough.
Pwede naman mabigay ng MWRB yan kung kinakailangan talaga magdagdag, pero sa tingin ho namin wala pang dahilan para magkaroon ng karagdagan.
The NWRB adds that the current water supply from Angat Dam will be sufficient through the dry season. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
In other news, Metro Manila will be getting the lion's share of the AstraZeneca shots from the COVAX facility that arrived last weekend, according to the Health Department. And that equals about a fourth or about 500,000 of more than 2 million doses of the most recent delivery. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire said the government wants the epicenter of COVID-19 to have herd containment. Central Luzon will be receiving around 261,000 doses, while Calabarzon will get 254,000 shots. The country also expects some 193,000 doses of Pfizer vaccines, also from the COVAX facility. We're going to pause for a quick break, but we will be back with more stories after that. Keep it here. still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. The COMELEC has spoken, and the poll body says that the 2022 elections will push through, even with the pandemic still very much around. To tell us more, Jen Calimon joins us live from Malabon. Hi, Jen. How does the COMELEC plan to carry on with the election, and where is all this certainty coming from?
Yes, Sean, COMELEC Commissioner Antonio Co said they will release a new normal election manual to ensure safe and clean polls next year. Voters will undergo temperature checks upon entry. Those below 37 degrees Celsius will be allowed inside the precinct, only 5 at a time. Those above that may still vote, but in an isolated poll area. Election officers will wear personal protective equipment. Plastic barriers will also be installed in the booths. COMELEC said it seeks to lower precinct population from 1,000 to 800, but it will depend on the status of our vote counting machines, currently at 97,000. COMELEC also seeks to extend voting hours. It has yet to finalize the exact duration, but COMELEC said polls will last a whole day. For the Health Department, administrative and engineering mechanisms must be in place to prevent people from overcrowding. The DOH wants the elections to take place in an open space, if not in well-ventilated rooms. As for mail voting or hybrid voting, the COMELEC is not so keen as it may still be underdeveloped by that time. Commissioner Co said they aren't expecting the approval of the bills for absentee voting and accessible voting places for indigenous peoples anytime soon. As for campaigning in the new normal, combat public mass gatherings, COMELEC said even if campaigns are online, they will still monitor the candidates' expenses. Pro-Democracy Coalition Participate believes the COMELEC needs about 10 billion pesos to ensure safety during the 2022 polls, though Commissioner Co said COMELEC's initial projection is only around 800 to 1 million pesos. Sean, COMELEC said they will also launch a website where candidates' platforms and backgrounds will be accessible. This will allow voters to learn about their bets even without physical election campaigns. Sean?
That's good to hear. Thanks so much for that update from Malabon City. That was News 5's Jen Calimon. And in COVID news, the Health Department reported over 6,800 new infections on Monday. The country's caseload now stands at above 1.1 million, nearly 60,000 of which are still considered active. At least 90 more patients died due to the respiratory disease, pushing the death toll to more than 18,500. Meanwhile, recoveries have surged to 1,030,000, with over 8,100 new survivors today. And as more and more vaccines are rolled out for adults, debates are now turning to the contentious question of when to extend inoculation to children. Let's hear about how that's going with Andrew Pikash from Johns Hopkins University in this report from Bloomberg.
Much of the biology of the immune system is incredibly different and very much dependent upon age. Even simple factors such as dosing based on body mass are all factors that have to be empirically determined. And that's why you see these clinical trials now that are focusing on children that are breaking down the age groups into smaller and smaller groups. Remember, adults were basically 17 and above, right? Right now we're going in age increments of about 4 or 5 years or so because of the challenges that are produced by trying to move into those populations with the limited amount of data that we have so far. So very important to get this right, because children represent a population that could really help us move toward a herd immunity sort of endpoint. But the studies that should be coming out next week are going to be very important in terms of understanding the dosing and the side effects in those populations.
And just to sort of tie a bow on this, if we do get those 12 to 16-year-old guidelines next week as expected, how quickly could we see kids start to get vaccinated, and perhaps how much does that accelerate the path to full immunity?
I think you can see vaccinations start almost immediately because the vaccine right now is out there. As we've all sort of been seeing, the vaccine demand is starting to diminish a little bit. And if we look at the initial rollout of the vaccine, my guess is that there'll be a large bolus of individuals who are very willing and want to get the vaccine that will line up very quickly. So I think that the rollout into children initially will be very fast and very high, and then it's really just then going to be a question of sustaining it and getting it to a high percentage, running into similar problems that we see now with the adult population.
Andy, what do you think the biggest issue is underpinning hesitancy at the moment?
I really do think it's getting the information to people in a way that they are comfortable understanding it. From a scientific standpoint, I really am amazed at the wonderful data that's coming out about these vaccines almost on a weekly basis right now. So the data is there. Communicating it effectively to populations is what's really important. And of course, getting at the issue of equity in vaccines, finding the populations that don't have access to it, that haven't heard much about the benefits of the vaccine. Getting to those populations is going to be the really critical thing right now.
Dr. Prakash, what do you think of New York City's decision to advocate for vaccine tourism, that basically if people come here to visit from other countries, they could get a vaccine and get first in line?
You know, more vaccinations are better, and everybody's trying to be, I think, creative about how to do this. You know, bringing someone into a country, vaccinating them, remember, your effect of the vaccine then takes several weeks before you can actually, you know, get the benefits of that. So the timing of some of these things is important. And again, we're allowed to do a lot when we're vaccinated, but we have to remember that it takes some time for a vaccine to actually get you your protection. And so that's, I think, the critical thing to remember as we roll out some of these policies that may allow for greater travel or greater access to vaccines for people who are non-residents.
For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.